Calvin Cortazar Broadus Jr., known professionally as Snoop Dogg, recognized from various places from being a rapper to acting to even having his YouTube channel where he does a show called GGN, which features big names including Seth Rogen, Rick Ross,
I'm with this.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm with it. Just bring the bag, whatever bag.
and even ASAP Rocky.
Listen, I was on the highway twisting with my Uncle Snoop and we pimping. Listen, green screen behind me.
Throughout the years, he's become a household name from acting as Mac and Devin go to high school.
Man, let me hear it, man. Man, come on. Every time I go well, I'm blowing that smoke out. I buy it, don't even know the price. I talk as I live.
To being one of the biggest names on Death Row Records alongside Dr. Dre. To even appearing in the 2022 halftime show. Snoop was born and raised in Long Beach, California on October 20th, 1971. He would actually get his nickname early on in his life as his mother gave it to him after realizing that he looked a lot like the cartoon character Snoopy. As a young kid, he was very musically inclined. He would play the guitar and sing at his local Baptist church. From a very young age, he would begin rapping around the 6th grade. He would graduate high school, but after a trouble started to follow him everywhere he went. He would get arrested several times for drug possession and even spend time in prison. Through all of this, he was also associated with the Rollin' 20 Crips gang. In order to find a way out of his troubles, he started making music. He recorded early demos with his cousin Nate Dogg and his friend Warren G as a hip-hop trio called 213. Eventually, one of their tracks came to the attention of Dr. Dre, who then invited Snoop to collaborate with him on a song title cover for the soundtrack of a film with the same name when Dre released his hugely successful album, The Chronic, in 1992. Snoop was a key rapper who was heavily featured, and it was around this time that Snoop signed with the Death Row Records, the label founded by Dre and Suge Knight. Snoop was now primed for the release of his first solo album that Dre produced called Doggy Style in 1993. The album climbed its way to the #1 spot on Billboard's hip-hop and top 200 charts based on the strength of singles like Who I Am, and of course Gin and Juice. This would lead Snoop into acting where he acted in the Dre-directed short film called Murder. Which the case was, Snoop is murdered and resurrected after making a deal with the devil. Snoop was a huge fan of horror movies, and you can clearly see that influence here. Snoop is pretty big in filmmaking in general. He's even made his own adult films, and you can imagine based on his debut title name, you can probably imagine what they entail. In 1996, he released The Dogfather, which also made its way to the top of charts quickly despite the absence of Dr. Dre, who had left Death Row Records by this time over an increasing disdain for the violent ways in which Suge was running the business and putting his clients in dangerous situations. One such example was Snoop finding himself on trial for the murder of an alleged gang member that was shot and killed by someone who was in the same vehicle as Snoop. Snoop was eventually acquitted, but if he had been found guilty, he would have been locked away for 11 years. At this point, Snoop was growing tired of Suge's violent ways too, and no longer wanted to feature it as heavily in his music. He told VH1 in 2011, "The Dogfather was a rebirth for me. I'm not going to glorify none of this negativity that Death Row wanted me to do. I'm going to bring a positive side of music." As such, The Dogfather was Snoop's last record for Death Row. He then hooked up with Master P's No Limit Records. After this, Snoop became more outspoken about his disdain for Suge. He once said, "Bet I was working against the devil." Snoop truly kept the same energy throughout his feud with Suge, who would be in and out of prison. But the two would constantly go at each other in media, and sometimes even songs. Eventually, Suge went back to prison in 2004. Snoop would continue to release music in 2004. He enjoyed a renaissance of sorts after releasing the hit single Drop It Like It's Hot with Pharrell Williams. That same year, he reunited with Warren G and Nate Dogg as 213 to drop the album The Hard Way. This is also when he began appearing in several films like Training Day, The Wash, and Starsky and Hutch. By 2007, he even had his own reality show called Snoop Dogg's Fatherhood. The series featured his wife and high school sweetheart Shantai Taylor, who he remarried in 1997. It also featured his children. In 2012, Snoop decided to change his name to Snoop Lion and adapted a Rastafarian lifestyle. However, this era of Snoop's life was short-lived. Over the past few years, Snoop has managed to keep himself in the spotlight, Whether it's with new music, new TV shows, or creating digital content like him and Kevin Hart going viral for poking fun at the Island Boys, or his hilarious commentary during the Jake Paul fights. He also had some recent back and forth with Tekashi 69 that went on for more than a minute. His Instagram post content, on the daily, keeping him in contact with his fans. And now that he's in his 50s, he has landed a gig that he calls a dream come true, is slated to perform at the Super Bowl halftime show, along with Kendrick Lamar, Eminem, Dr. Dre, and Mary J. Blige, which created a lot of anticipation, especially after the cinematic trailer that Pepsi dropped to hype it up. In February of 2002, Snoop made one of the biggest full-circle moves out of any rapper in history by acquiring Death Row Records from NRK Music Group. This means that Snoop is now the owner of Death Row Records label. This introduced him to the world. The label had gone into bankruptcy in 2006 when its famous owner and CEO Suge Knight lost control of it. In a statement, Snoop said, "I'm thrilled and appreciative of the opportunity to acquire the iconic and culturally significant Death Row Records brand, which has an immense untapped future value. It's one thing for a rapper to buy his former childhood home or fast food franchise that they used to work at as a kid. But owning the label that broke you into the world is a different type of coming full circle. So shout out to Snoop for making this happen, and it will be interesting to see what the future holds for Death Row." Well, there you have it. This is the true and insane story of Snoop Dogg's rise from rapper to actor to owner of many businesses.
Now, is it true that Pharrell, he was the one encouraging you to be a bit more family-friendly?
Yeah, he made me change certain words. I had a song called So Many Hoes, he made it So Many Pros.
Pros just prostitutes?
No, they're professionals.
Oh, I see.
That was a tough loss. How do you feel after that?
How the fuck you think I feel? Don't ask no dumbass questions.
Get it all out. Get it all out.
I don't feel like shit right now. Fuck you think I feel amazing. I take a loss. I mean, yeah.
So who do you think is gonna take the victory?
I don't give a fuck. Stop asking all these dumbass questions. We lost. I gave you an interview. Now be gone.
That way.
Yo. God damn, I'm icy.
You mentioned Dr. Dina.
Yeah.
You know, I have a lot of chronic pain myself, and the things that she has suggested for me,
Do they work?
it's just so much better than taking something for it.
No side effects.
Going, I feel good.
Yeah, that's a great, but that's not considered a side effect. That's a real effect. I'm talking about like, you know.
Side effect.
You know when you
Right.
When you see a commercial, they be like, side effects are brain damage, low blood pressure, hypertension, they just name a bunch of shit. You be like, well, goddamn, all of them is the side effects? I don't want none of that shit.
Real effect.
Is it cream?
What?
Is it cream?
Oh, come on, man.